is you. Things just got out of hand.
Hey guys, so it looks like with all the trailer footage we've seen, Multiverse of Madness is going to introduce us to an evil variant of Dr. Stephen Strange himself. And we're going to see some of the craziest sorcerer-on-sorcerer combat we've seen to date in the MCU. But is he really the one we should be worried about, or is there a villain that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time? That's what we're going to be talking about in this episode of Constant Review. So, I've been scouring Spider-Man No Way Home for theory fodder for a while, and I keep not finding anything. And I'm always distracted by Doctor Strange, or else he's just wiping my mind so I can't make up any Spider-Man theories. But anyways, let's talk about why Steven has been acting very oddly in this movie. For one, he seems to be really easy to convince to do a spell that might destroy all of reality. I mean, usually that's something that takes a couple beers for someone to get convinced to do. Now, questionable decisions aside, Stephen Strange decides to crack open the fabric of reality and exposes our own MCU to the dangers of poorly written plot points in other movies. Now let's follow the chain of events logically. Around Halloween, probably on Halloween because, they're sorcerers, the sorcerers decide to throw a party resulting in the Sanctum Sanctorum being filled with snow. Then, a few days later, in early November, Stephen Strange decides to break open the borders between the worlds and endangers everyone again. So he seeks out Wanda Maximoff, who's been living in isolation since the events of WandaVision. And this is the weird thing of the Doctor Strange trailer. Because at the end of WandaVision, we see that Wanda is in fact living in seclusion, however she has been actively studying from the Darkhold, and was being called out by the souls of her children, or at least someone posing as them. So why on earth is Wanda Maximoff just on a ranch raising sheep? Certainly the realization that her children are alive should be motivating her to do something to help them, right? But no, she seems completely fine with her exile, so next we're introduced to a darker version of Doctor Strange. However, not a version of Doctor Strange that we've never seen before. In fact, it really looks like this version of Doctor Strange is identical to a Doctor Strange we have seen in Marvel's What If. In fact, his hair, his look, and the fact that he lives in a tiny pocket world that's been completely destroyed really seem to indicate that this is in fact Strange Supreme. And that makes it very confusing as to whether or not this man is actually a villain, because at the end of Season 1 of What If, Strange Supreme actually ends up redeeming himself. In fact, he ends up helping the Watcher, Uatu, save the multiverse. And what's weirder than this is that unlike everyone else who helped Uatu save the multiverse, he did not have his memory wiped, which means he still remembers his heroic act, and that he's kind of redeemed himself. So why is he being portrayed as a villain, or is he the villain? And I think that this is all a misdirect to stop us from looking at the real villain, Wanda Maximoff. Now, I think Wanda has actively been posing since the time we've seen her in WandaVision. Remember, WandaVision took place several weeks after the event of Endgame, meaning that the events of WandaVision took place somewhere around October 2023. But the events of Multiverse of Madness is presumably taking place after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, which puts us roughly around November 2024, a full year later. So Wanda has had a lot of time now to study the Darkhold. Now, there's always been a debate whether Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon based off the fact that it's never really been referenced directly by the MCU.
Hydra Silk. Find the goddess within.
But in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's made very clear that anyone who ever reads from the Darkhold usually immediately becomes corrupted by it and is then persuaded to do evil. And Wanda Maximoff has been reading from the Darkhold for a full year, and she seems to be innocuous or unaware of the multiverse when Doctor Strange seems to bring it up to her.
What do you know about the multiverse?
And that can only possibly mean that she is lying, and that she is actually the one pulling the strings for this whole event. In fact, maybe it's not even Doctor Strange's spells that's destroying the reality of the universe, but in fact Wanda herself, in order to encourage the Sorcerer Supreme to foolishly lead to the destruction of his own reality so that Wanda can be once again reunited with her two
Your power
sons.
exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme. It's your destiny to destroy the world.
But anyways, that's just what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.